Wolverine is incomplete without his arch-nemesis, Sabertooth. Since the very beginning of Wolverine's journey, we've always seen him and Sabertooth go up against each other. Their interactions gave us a better insight into their characters, as well as absolutely brutal fights, which, as fans, we cherish a lot. With the introduction of Laura Kinney, we now have a female Wolverine on our hands. So what about a female Sabertooth? Will she be her arch-nemesis and end up being just as iconic as the OG Sabertooth? That's what we'll be looking into in this video, so if you find yourself curious, keep watching. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. The original Big Bad Sabertooth. My earliest memory of Victor Creed is the one played by Liev Schreiber in X-Men Origins Wolverine. From the first moment he came on screen, I knew he would be a thorn in Wolverine's side, and the original Victor Creed in the Marvel Comics is not much different. He's violent and grimy, and is on a relentless pursuit to manifest the downfall of Wolverine and the X-Men out of the hatred he feels for the group. But why is he such a hateful character? Well, as it turns out, when he was a child, and his mutations manifested for the first time, he ended up accidentally killing his brother over a piece of pie. This led to his overtly religious family locking Victor in the cellar because he had demons in him. His father would systematically abuse him, often coming to the cellar to chop off his claws over and over again. One day, Victor managed to break free by chewing through his hand and killed his father. He left for Canada working for the railroad. While it might seem like Victor had escaped his abusive family so that he could live a better life, things were not quite like that. All those years of torture twisted him. He became this vindictive and vengeful person who was willing to show up every year to torture his younger brother Saul on his birthday. However, one year, when he returned to torture his brother, he was told that his brother had died at the hands of someone named Logan. Enraged, Victor decides to go after Logan. In 1909, he heard about a serial killer who had killed 3 people over the years, and Sabertooth felt like this may be a clue. When he found Logan unconscious at one of the crime scenes, Victor believed that Logan was the serial killer everyone was after. Instead of giving up Logan to the police, Sabertooth decided to take him and brought him to the Ravencroft Institute in Westchester County. There he took Logan to his boss, Nathaniel Essex, who lobotomized Logan. He then cut off Logan's left arm, all for Victor's sick pleasure. One of the doctors at the Ravencroft Institute, Claudia Russell, somehow managed to free Logan and was making a quick escape with him. But before he could escape to safety, Victor confronted them. When Victor threw away Logan, his healing factor kicked in, and he woke up from the lobotomy-induced comatose state. Logan thrust his claws through Victor's jaw in a bit of feral rage. Despite that attack injuring Victor, it was evident that Logan would not survive the fight if it went on. Claudia talked Logan into escaping, and to ensure Victor didn't go after him, she revealed her true self. Turns out she was a werewolf, and she had accidentally killed people, which led to Victor going after Logan in the first place. She attacked Victor, and it was distracting enough for Logan to escape. Essex saved Victor from Claudia and captured her. Victor and Essex experimented on her for days to come, and then eventually killed her. Even though the one who killed his brother was aptly punished, Victor never quite forgot Logan, and since then, whenever they would come across one another, they would be at each other's throats, ready to rip each other apart. With that absolutely brutal backstory, we can understand why Sabertooth is so vicious. But what about our female Sabertooth? Is she just as vicious? Savage Sabertooth. Backstory of female Sabertooth. When it comes to our female Sabertooth, she was first introduced to us in the Sabertooth and the Exiles issue 5. She's this wild Sabertooth who was seen living in the savage land of Earth 1912. While she was out hunting one day, she was kidnapped by Graydon Creed. For those who do not know, Graydon Creed is Victor Creed's son. Victor had no idea that Graydon was alive, and Graydon was this anti-mutant Puritan sort of guy, who was out to purge all the mutants. Now Victor found Graydon in hell, as we see in the 27th issue of Weapon X. Instead of leaving his son to die there, Victor sacrificed himself to ensure his son would go free, in the hopes that he would be noble and that he would be kind. But alas, things did not turn out this way. Instead, Graydon came out of there and made it a project of his to go around all across the multiverse and slaughter every Creed that he could find. In all the universes, the Creeds are mutants, all going by the name Sabertooth. He individually hunts them down and cuts off their heads, keeping them as his very own trophy on a wall. Eventually, it was Victor's turn. Since Victor's memory was wiped right after he liberated Graydon, he didn't quite recognize him, but that was no issue. Graydon was still more than happy to kill his father. He put a Barrington coil inside his father like he did with all the other Sabertooths, and was sadistically torturing him when something unexpected happened. Turns out that the Sabertooths of Earth 12, Earth 203, and our female Sabertooth ripped out the Barrington coils from each other. The Barrington coils weakened the Sabertooths and stopped their healing from working. Since they were able to rip them out, they were back in their original primal form. They worked together to attack Graydon. As chaos ensued, Graydon managed to escape from there. there, leaving the three variants with Victor. The female Sabertooth didn't want to help Victor at first because she was mad at him. If Victor hadn't saved Graydon in the first place, they wouldn't have been in this predicament. However, Cap and Pretty Boy, Sabertooths of Earth 203 and Earth 12 respectively, managed to calm her down, and she very happily and viciously ripped out the Barrington coil from Victor. Leaving him to recuperate, these three went off to attack Graydon across the Station 5. There they found the machine that Graydon used to capture them. As they were about to head home, Graydon showed up with his very own posse of headless Sabertooth variants. He'd put a collar on each Sabertooth that he'd already killed, which allowed him to use their bodies as his army. Right then, Victor joined the fight to kill off Graydon for good this time. The fight was brutal, and amidst it, they accidentally pushed Graydon through the interdimensional device portal. With Graydon gone, the corpses slumped with nothing controlling them. With that, Victor asked the trio if they'd like to go on an adventure of their own, to which they happily agreed. Victor's vicious project. As it turns out, the plan that Sabertooth had come up with was to kill off all the Wolverines from the multiverse and get his very own army. His hatred for Wolverine was so strong, it blinded him completely. On his adventure, Victor managed to get more Sabertooths for his army. After he decided they were strong enough, Victor planned on attacking Wolverine of Earth 616 to continue his sick little tradition of hurting Wolverine on his birthday. Victor remembered that Wolverine and his X-Men threw him into the pit of Krakoa, and he wanted to get revenge for that. So with his huge army, Sabertooth launched an attack on Krakoa. He even got cloaking devices and used Camo, Victor Creed from Earth 33441, which had the power to mimic being someone else, not to alert the Krakoan defense system. However, once they entered Krakoa, Sabertooth got a nasty surprise. Turns out Krakoa was completely empty. In the third Hellfire Gala, Orcish lay siege on Krakoa. To save themselves, the X-Men left the place in a hurry. Feeling completely cheated out, Victor decided to focus on Wolverine's new X-Force team. This X-Force team was situated in the North Pole. Kid Omega, Wolverine's protege, was speaking with Tom Cassidy about Krakoa, and Kid Omega felt like he needed to go there to prove to Tom that Krakoa wasn't surrounded by Starkey Sentinels. When Kid Omega approached Krakoa's airfield, the Starkey Sentinels Cassidy warned him about started attacking him. As he fought valiantly, he realized that there was someone on the Krakoan beach. It looked like Wolverine. So Kid Omega dropped down to him and approached, only to realize he wasn't actually Wolverine, but it was too late for him to escape. This Wolverine turned out to be Camo, and he viciously attacked Kid Omega. He brought him on the ship, and Victor, Pretty Boy, Savage, Cap, and Camo cannibalized the kid, in a true Sabertooth fashion. But that's not all. Victor took Kid Omega's still living head, and put it in this contraption that would help him harness Kid Omega's telepathic energy. On the North Pole, Fang was sitting outside the fort with a gutted moose. Wolverine showed up to warn Fang of the dangers and told him to come back inside as soon as he was done skinning the moose. However, he never quite managed to finish the job, because he was attacked by Sabertooth. Sabertooth used Quentin's powers to neutralize Tom and Sage, who were on the lookout and effectively took out the defenses. With no one warning the X-Force team of the upcoming danger, Sabertooth was able to launch a perfect ambush. He ripped Fang apart and used his dismembered parts to spell out happy birthday for Wolverine, which Logan soon stumbles upon. Wolverine, obviously enraged, went berserk and attacked Sabertooth. However, he was soon overpowered by the army of headless Sabertooth cyborgs Victor had at his disposal. After incapacitating Logan, Sabertooth hung him up using the adamantium tentacles he got from Omega Red. The fact that Omega Red was killed by Sabertooth's army is definitely terrifying, because Omega Red is not someone who can be taken down that easily. Even though Pretty Boy didn't see much of a point in keeping Logan alive just for the sake of sick torture, Victor wasn't hearing it. He wanted to break Logan, and his plan for that was to leave him strung up using the Omega Red tentacles while he ventured into the greenhouse and killed everyone present there. Inside, Laura and Domino were still coming to terms with the fact that there might just be a future for them, when Domino noticed that Wolverine was standing behind them. Domino approached Wolverine, only to be bitch-smacked by him. Laura took a quick whiff and realized the man standing in front of her was not Logan. I'm sure most of you have guessed by now, it was Camo. Camo, Pretty Boy, and Savage attacked Laura, while the headless cyborgs went after Tom and Sage, who were in a trance. Left to her own devices, Laura fought bravely. She decapitated Pretty Boy, and Domino managed to blow up half of Savage's face. However, that just pissed him off more. She attacked Laura in a fit of rage. While this was happening, Sabertooth and the rest of the team went on a brutal killing spree, slashing and slicing anyone they could get their hands on. Aurora and Northwester managed to grab 2 mutants and made a run for Cassidy and Sage. They killed off the cyborgs by disconnecting their collars, right before they could decapitate their helpless friends. Northwester and Aurora overtaxed Sage and Cassidy with their energies, and managed to get them out of the trance. With Cassidy and Sage back to their senses, they deployed the defense mechanism of the greenhouse. But before Sabertooth and his team could make a hasty retreat, Wolverine showed up. He had ripped his muscles off the skeleton to ensure he could get out of the tentacles, and then went into a berserker rage, slicing through the cyborgs. With his numbers dwindling, Sabertooth ordered his army to fall back and leave the dead as he went back on his ship. The battle with Laura. Back on the ship, we come to learn that Savage and Camo managed to nab Laura, and with Cassidy's defense, he was able to strangle Cap and a good number of cyborgs. Things were a bit rough between the leadership and Sabertooth's army. Savage was angry with Sabertooth for causing the deaths of Cap and Pretty Boy. In her eyes, if anyone else had led this ambush, they would have come out far better, and Camo agreed. But Victor was not willing to listen. Camo and Victor got into a fight, which ended with Sabertooth slashing Camo through his chest, insisting that all of them were here to either do what they were told or die. Laura noticed it from her cage and decided to taunt Savage and Camo, pointing out how inferior they were in comparison to Victor. This resulted in Savage viciously attacking her and ripping out her lower jaw and tongue, after exposing her to some essence of leech created by Orcus, which would hinder her abilities. However, despite Savage's behavior, it was clear she knew Laura was right. So to overthrow Sabertooth, they decided that they'd bring back Graydon from whatever dimension he was trapped in. Victor went down to Krakoa with Quentin with him, guiding him to reach Forge's depowering gun. As Laura was kidnapped, Wolverine was going to come after him, and Sabertooth knew it. So when Wolverine does show up at Krakoa to kill Victor, Victor forces Quentin to put Wolverine in a trance, where he thinks he's back in time, back when he and Victor used to work together. On the other hand, Laura waited in the ship for the right moment to strike. Once she was healed enough, she attacked the cyborg who showed up to feed her. This resulted in more cyborgs attacking her, and while she lay injured on the floor, no one noticed that she'd snagged the collar. Using that collar, Laura managed to get out of her cell and climbed into the cramped crawl space, making her way to the main control of the ship. Savage and Camo together found Graydon and rescued him from the dimension he was trapped in. He came out completely changed with the name Bad Seed. While Camo and Bad Seed worked together to come up with a plan to kill Victor, Savage was posted at the control center, pretending everything is fine and Victor was not being overthrown, when Victor called in the ship. However, everything soon changed when Laura jumped into the control center. She viciously attacked Savage, and with one clean slice, managed to detach Savage from her waist. She ripped out Savage's heart and threw it into the transmitter, uncloaking Station 5, putting them on the Sentinel's radar immediately. With that, Laura jumped out of the ship, leaving Graydon and the cyborgs to deal with Savage and her dead body. Savage instincts, the power of Sabertooth. There's no denying that our female Sabertooth Savage is incredibly strong. Thanks to her enhanced mutant physiology, she has an accelerated healing. She can easily regenerate most of the damaged areas in her anatomy quite efficiently. In her case, her rate of regeneration is dependent on the damage caused to her, and this is out of her control. However, that doesn't mean that she doesn't feel any type of pain from the injuries she receives. Thanks to this high rate of cell regeneration, Savage is immune to pretty much any poison, virus, drug, or disease that's thrown her way. She also seems to never fatigue, as her body is immune to fatigue toxins that are released due to physical activity. Graydon keeps calling her Savage Aunt, but Savage doesn't look a day older than him. That's because her healing factor constantly produces new cells, slowing down the aging, keeping her forever young. She also has superhuman senses, which help her attack and defend against surprise attacks nicely. Her claws at the end of each finger and toe are strong enough to cut through most flesh and natural materials. Her fangs are canine-like, and she seems to be capable enough to chew through bones. The way she fights makes it very evident that Savage has superhuman speed, easily moving out of the way in the right moment. Her agility is also quite enhanced, which allowed her to last as long as she did in the fight against Laura. Just like Victor, Savage also seems to be quite good at hand-to-hand combat. But like all the good traits of Victor, she's also just as easy to anger as Victor is. Laura got under her skin, and that's the main reason why Laura was able to get the upper hand in their fight. With Savage being completely controlled by her anger, it makes sense why she was unable to think clearly and defend against Laura's attacks. Marvelous verdict. While we mostly get to see Savage in the Sabertooth Wars, there's no denying that even with her short presence, she definitely left an impact. She's strong, vicious, crude, and is not afraid to get down and dirty if it means she'll get to taste the sweet taste of victory. While she may not be as ruthless as Victor is, that doesn't mean Savage is soft. She cares about her friends, and that fleshes out her character even more for us. Overall, I think she's a worthy adversary for Laura. Let us know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time. If you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.